Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I certainly can understand Senator Murkowski's frustration. I felt like a lot of sports writers were out of sight, out of mind when it came to the Seahawks, but at least we put that to rest. And people have a little bit of a better understanding of what a good defensive team can do. So I definitely know we in the Northwest, sometimes people just don't quite get all the issues. But I want to say thank you to you, Ms. Sue, for your work on the lower Elwha and the Elwha Dam removal, because that's been a big success in return of fish. And those are the initial indications. I don't know how much you've followed it since the last year's activities, but the project is going well from all accounts. And one of the issues, Mr. Chairman, I'm interested in is obviously having this position filled, because there's only so much that can be done within the agency without an assistant secretary. And so the two things I'm most concerned are obviously backlog maintenance on roads, which is seems like we have a never-ending problem of catching up on, and our current fire season threat, because we have one of the worst droughts now coming in the West, and how do we get ready for fire season? So if you could talk about those two issues.
Senator, thank you very much for those questions. I have to admit that I'm a Coloradan and a Broncos fan, and you absolutely deserved the victory.
That's what we call an admission against interest.
What can I say? What can I say? To answer your two questions, let's start off with the maintenance backlog issue. Obviously, a huge challenge within the National Park Service in particular, and of the roughly $11 billion backlog that the Park Service has, about a half of that is in roads and transportation systems. I think, first and foremost, we need to work with the Department of Transportation and the Federal Highway Administration to ensure that they're prioritizing the resources in those funds for the Park Service and for these infrastructure projects within the Park Service. But I think, as you know, we're 2 years away from this historic centennial anniversary of the Park Service that provides this incredible opportunity to galvanize levels of private-public support that we have not yet seen before, really attracting private investment in challenge cost-share opportunities to leverage the opportunity that we have with the centennial to actually fix a lot of the stuff that we have in the service. As you know, one of Secretary Jewell's highest priorities is to engage young people all around this country and really trying to energize the attention of young people in volunteering for the national parks and our other public lands to help address some of these maintenance issues, I think is also another opportunity. And finally, I think the Park Service, as they recently have testified before this committee, feels like there's opportunities to improve their authorities in contracting and cooperative agreements and in their concessions authorities to give them more flexibility about how they use those authorities and how they channel those funds, again, into these important infrastructure challenges. So I think there's a number of opportunities, again, crystallized with the context of the centennial that will give us the opportunity to really get at these maintenance backlog issues. Turning to fire, I want to express my thanks to the chairman for his leadership on really helping us try to develop a more rational approach to fire budgeting. As many of you know, we have fallen short of adequate resources for fire over the last several years, and we've often had to balance our fire needs with other balances at the department for construction and maintenance, robbing Peter to pay Paul, if you will. I think approaching the fire budget with more rationality and frankly giving us the resources that we require, not only for the absolute necessities of actual fire fighting, but the proactive things that we can do through hazardous fuels management and fire preparedness. I think balancing those things with, again, more of a robust budgeting structure enables us to be more prepared year-round for the challenges that we face in fire.
Well, I just, Mr. Chairman, I feel like what's happening in the West right now on this issue is brewing into a big problem. So I certainly want us to make sure we move forward with a plan and something that addresses this now, because this level of drought just means bigger problems later. So I hope we can get you in this position and move forward on what really needs to be an aggressive response to this level of drought. Thank you.